Well, we found another team the Kings don't match up well against. They have not won a game this year against the Pelicans, and now they have not won a game against the Rockets. Two without Fox, but they had Fox today, and it didn't matter. The final of 112 to 104. I guess you could say the Kings did shoot the ball well from the line at 87% today, but we'll just stop right there. I mean, what happened in that third quarter? I mean, the Kings had 14 points in the third quarter, Ryan. 14 points.
Well, a lot of fans are going to blame the refs. They think that there was some bad calls. There might have been a call here and there, but it was bad all night for both teams. What happened was the Kings just quit playing defense inside. The Rockets dominated. The Kings didn't adjust. And because the Rockets are so based around isolation, when you get to slow the Kings down like that and get to the free throw line, guess what you get to do, Grant, every time the Kings come up the court?
Do the fans ever blame the refs when the Kings win or only when they lose?
I think we get it both ways sometimes. Kings, usually it's when they lose, but we get it when they win, depending on what it affected. There's no doubt.
But you know what? The refs didn't have anything to do with Sabonis turning the ball over 9 times tonight, did they?
No, they did not. The Rockets, you have to give them credit on this front. The Rockets had very active hands inside. There was a couple of muscle plays that impressed me, and quite frankly, they just got to the 50-50 balls, Grant. They wanted it more in the second half.
Johnny says no one blamed the refs. Well, Johnny, you're obviously living in a cave, okay, in a very deep hole in the ground, all right? Because I've been seeing on social media for the last hour fans killing the refs. So, I'm sorry, but that's not why the Kings lost the game. The Kings lost the game for this reason. They're not that good. I don't know what else I can say. They're not that good.
No.
See, I disagree.
Grant, I disagree. It hit me tonight. The Kings just aren't that smart.
Not that what?
Smart.
Okay, explain.
Their basketball IQ is poor. You look at many of the plays that end up being some of their best plays, they're lucky the pass gets through. Malik Monk 3 or 4 times jumping tonight to pass. He talked about that last game, not doing that anymore, trying not to. But then shot selection, Grant, it's bad. Towards the end stretch, Keegan Murray, he hasn't been able to hit anything the last couple games, yet you want him taking the biggest 3 when your team's on a run, and you would think the doors were open at G1C because it wasn't even close. And so it's the little plays like that, the failures to adjust, the failures to communicate. The Kings have all the talent in the world. When we come on here at the end of the night, we talk about stupid mistakes.
Again, we're saying the same thing. We're just using different words.
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, you either win the game or you lose the game. And if you lose the game because you're doing stupid things, that equates to you're not that good of a team. I mean, I don't know else. Good teams don't lose at home to teams like this, the Spurs, who they had to get a gift in overtime. They don't lose to the Pistons. They don't lose to the Hornets. They don't lose to Miami with a depleted team that's off with injuries and suspensions. I can go on and on. Good teams don't lose to those teams over and over again. Occasionally they will, but not over and over. And now you have a Rockets team that's well below you in the standings, Ryan. Mm-hmm. And you were healthy tonight. You were healthy this afternoon, and you still got beat. You still got beat.
Yeah, and they came out. I mean, I said on the pregame show, Grant, I said the first 7 minutes of this game would tell you how it would play out. And it played out absolutely different because the first 7 were great for the Kings. It is what it is. It's a Kings home game. They can't play at home, and a lot of them are at home the rest of the season, Grant.
All right, and here's something else you said, and I want to pick your brain on this.
Yeah.
You were just criticizing Keegan Murray for the shot selection during that time because, time, score, change the game. If he's your third guy, okay, which he's not yet, he's really the fourth. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we'd have to agree that it's in any order you want to go. It's Fox, Sabonis, and Monk, right? Mm-hmm. Sabonis, Fox, Monk. I mean, we would agree with those are your big 3 right now, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But when we talk to Jerry and we talk to you and the other callers, everyone puts Keegan Murray in that category. Well, he's not there yet. Can we agree that he's not there yet? We expect him, Ryan. We project him to be there, but he's not there yet. At some point, I have to ask the question, do we and our fans overvalue Keegan a little bit?
I don't think so. No. I don't. I don't believe I do personally. Especially now, last year, 100%, Grant. But the jump he's made on defense, and then also you hear stories about him being vocal behind the scenes, him becoming more of a leader with this team. And when I look at this team, sometimes I see not enough leaders and too many followers. So that's a really good thing. And quite honestly, if you look at the numbers, I think Keegan Murray's second year progression may be better than De'Aaron Fox's.
Well, here's what I do know. The Kings are going to have a very difficult time being a top 6 team in the West, right? They're going to have a very difficult time. And now your next 3 games, Milwaukee, the Lakers, and the Knicks. And you can barely beat San Antonio and you lose to the Rockets. I know that we always talk about the Kings play to the level of their competition. The competition's getting much better, although they match up very well with the Lakers, and I expect them to beat the Lakers. But I don't know about the Bucks or the Knicks.
Yeah, well, the Kings have played the Bucks really well the
Yeah, they
last
have.
season and a half, so maybe that translates. The Bucks had a big win today. Damon, Giannis go off, but we'll see. I mean, the Kings usually bounce back well, Grant, after a bad loss. Hey, you want to take some phone calls? We got a couple lined up.
Yeah, that means that I don't have to be negative to go ahead and take some phone calls.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's bring some positivity in here. We're bringing in Zach, the NBA guru. Zach, no tears, please.
No, it's not surprising. Couple things. Sabonis 9 turnovers. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
You got to be kidding me.
What?
De'Aaron 1 assist. Not shooting the ball great. So, I mean, but I wanted those were just 2 things that stood out. I mean, it's just not making our threes too. That's one thing. And then Rockets, we talked about it before the game. They're not a good 3-point shooting team. Guess what? They shot pretty well.
Everybody shoots well from 3 against the Kings.
Absolutely. So it's just not surprising anymore. I mean, I know it hasn't been surprising for the whole season, but it's just it is what it is. But to Grant, he's to say I disagree with you saying that we're not a good team. It's tough to say that when we're 9 games above 500.
No, you're a good team. You're nothing more than a good team. I've been saying that all season. The Kings are a good team, but they're not anything more than a good team. They're not a very good team, and they're not a great team. They're just a good team, but they're nothing special. They're nothing more than a good team.
Did you think that we were special last year?
Yes, I did.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair. I mean, we're the 7th, 8th seed now, going down. So
7. They're 7 right now.
yeah. So I mean, I guess that's it's a 7-8 team. It's a good team, but yeah, hopefully.
You know what else, Zach? The Kings are not a good home team, which is a real puzzling. They're better on the road. I feel more comfortable with the Kings playing on the road than I do at home. They're just not very good at home. I can't explain it, but they're just not.
They have the worst defensive rating at home since the All-Star break.
That says a lot.
I asked this to Ryan earlier. Just wanted to see your thoughts on this. The 3-point defense. Is it game plan? Is it effort? Is it the talent on the team? What do you think it is?
Well, I heard Mike Brown say that's all they worked on after the All-Star break. Well, it doesn't look like they worked on it to me.
I mean, they just look not just a step on the rotation off. They look 2 steps off the rotation off. I just want to know what I mean.
That's effort to me, and it's, as Ryan said, it has to do with a degree of basketball IQ and not understanding certain schemes and everything. I would think I don't understand that, quite frankly. I just do not understand it. But we've been talking about this for years with the Sacramento Kings.
But if Mike Brown's drilling this game plan scheme for defense all year, there's something missing. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Zach, the Kings from 3-point land tonight were terrible. They were 6 of 32. So maybe in practice when they're drilling, they're not making the threes and they're getting stopped, so they don't drill that long.
I got another question for you guys.
Yeah.
How many times this year have we come on this show and talked about the Kings' poor 3-point shooting percentage and the other team's good 3-point shooting percentage? And what do we say? And again, it's simplifying things, but it's really true. When the Kings don't shoot the ball well from 3, they have no way of beating you. They can't do anything else.
That's true. I mean, it's simple. It's the game of basketball. You make your shots, we'll be all right. And
Well,
yeah,
I think too, last year that 3 ball was a surprise. You remember when we saw it in the preseason and we were like, oh, wow, it's just, preseason, right? Well, no, it carries over. And so to a degree, I don't want to say it was a crutch, but it's what they relied on last year to come back. They knew they were never truly out of a game. And I think sometimes they think that's still in their back pocket, but the numbers this year would show that it's really not, because De'Aaron Fox tonight, again, everything was at the hoop. Zach, everything in the first half. And then the second half, it was all away from the hoop. I don't know why he took 9 threes.
well, why
and
do
you
you
only
think
made
our
2 of
3-point
them.
our shooting stats is way worse other than De'Aaron Fox individually this year too? Is
I,
it
I
just the
think
sophomore slumps?
No, it's not the sophomore slumps. If you look at the way the Kings, so Mike Brown's system, or the system the Kings are running right now, they talk about it all game. They say that there's not a ton of set plays. It's more of a theory. It's reaction. The guys know conceptually what to do. Well, conceptually last year, that ball was moving around the horn and the ball movement was there. This year, it's not, Zach. So you're asking Kevin Huerter, you're asking Keegan Murray, you're asking Harrison Barnes to hit a big shot when they haven't touched the ball in 7 possessions.
Well, why doesn't Mike Brown just go back to the last year concept?
I,
If it's not working this year, clearly.
Zach, I don't know. That's why I'm asking questions. I mean, that would be an answer that I would love to get from him or somebody with the team.
Absolutely. All right, guys. That's all I got.
I'll tell you, I've been saying this, and I'm going to keep on saying this. The Kings are a couple of more really bad losses away from having a very busy offseason. And by that, I mean, you just watch. Just watch. Okay? I've been saying this for I've been saying it for over a month now. Mark my words on this. If this Kings team is not in the playoffs this year, that means after the play-in, they're not 1 through 8. There's going to be big-time changes with this franchise. You just watch.
I think that means the only really asset that I can see them doing that'd be a big change is getting with Keegan Murray.
I didn't just say players. I just said change. It could be more than just players. You just watch.
All right. I'll keep an eye on that. But I don't think Mike Brown's going anywhere for at least 1 more year, in my opinion.
Just watch.
I'll be watching.
I'm not saying he is
Zach.
either. I'm just saying don't close your eyes and ears. Okay? Because I know the owner and I know what goes on behind the scenes, and people better fasten their seatbelts.
I mean, he's probably still paying a bunch of other coaches we fired the last 5 years.
He's still paying Luke, I believe. Luke's on the payroll this year. Vladdy's on the payroll still.
You think he wants to do a fourth coach to pay up?
Why would I expect anything to change based on how many coaches he's had to pay? I think Dave Yeager has just gotten off the payroll. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
All right, I'll
See you,
keep
buddy.
an eye on it. Take care, guys.
Appreciate it, Zach.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a follow-up really quick then. Isn't there already going to have to be big changes this year? Because the Kings have been idle the past couple off seasons?
I do, yes. I think that you have, at some point, this combination of players is not good enough to get you where you need to go. And yeah, it would be great to win a playoff series, but that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to get to the big show. The ultimate goal is to hang a banner in your arena. Even if Keegan Murray develops to what we think he could, I just don't see it happening. You have a point guard that's, in my opinion, has too many off nights, and now he's in his 7th year. I know he's talented. I like De'Aaron Fox, but you don't talk about off nights in Oklahoma City with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? You don't talk about off nights with Steph Curry during the course of his career. Maybe it's unfair to compare anyone to Steph Curry, so I won't do that. But the point is, there are too many nights like this, or too many games like this. I keep on saying night. It was a 3:00 game. There are too many games like this where I need more from my max player, both on the court and behind the scenes. And when I say behind the scenes, I'm not privy to what's going on behind the scenes, but that there are too many times I'm watching De'Aaron Fox and I don't like his body language. I don't like his demeanor in post-game press conferences. I don't want to hear him after the game this afternoon talk about, how good Houston is and how they. No, I want it to come on him and his team. Stop crediting the other team all the time.
It's a fair point, Grant, and I think it's a discussion that the fan base needs to have. We're not saying get rid of De'Aaron Fox, but I think you have to evaluate every position
Everything.
because I look at next year, regardless of what the Kings doing this year, is kind of that crossroads year where the window could be extended 2, 3, 4 years, or the window could be over. And I think that's why these conversations to me are important, because things have been kind of standing still within the organization.
Very frustrating. I mean, and again, we talk normally like this more after a loss than after a win. And I keep on saying that I don't like to judge a team on one win or one loss. But again, if I'm judging this team on the last 5 games, I'm giving them close to an F. I mean, I'm sorry. You lose to the Bulls, okay, at home. You lose to the Rockets at home. You beat the Spurs on a gift.
Barely.
Right?
Barely.
I mean, I don't know.
So the question I asked, I'm going to ask you this really quick. Chang, we're going to you next. And if you would also like to join the show, please make sure to scan the QR code, or you can go to the pinned comment in the chat. What grade would you give the Kings this year? I'm not talking about performance, but watching them and just, is it a fun watch? An A is, it's a great watch. An F, it's terrible to watch.
Are you talking about the aesthetics of their game?
I'm just talking about watching this team this year and the enjoyability level for this fan base.
C-.
C-. Okay. We got a lot of B-.
Okay, well, we'll ask the fans. What You're not asking what grade would you give them overall. You're asking them in terms of fun, entertainment, aesthetics, right?
Aesthetics, entertainment, watchability.
Okay.
Watchability, what's your grade?
All right, I'm going to give this company an A+, and that's New Works Plumbing of Sacramento. For your plumbing needs and repairs, just go to sacserviceplumbing.com. That's sacserviceplumbing.com. And remember, they're available around the clock for your plumbing needs and repairs. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. And once again, my grade is an A+.
For New Works Plumbing. They are the best. I told you they came out to my house recently, right?
Yes, you did tell me that. I don't know if you told that on the air, but yes, you did tell me that.
Yes, they came out and we had a leak thinking we'd fix it. No, call New Works. And they didn't just take care of it. They showed us some stuff that may cause us problems in the future. Took care of it too. So
perfect.
They'll do that for you as well. Give them a call. They are the best. We're going back to the phones. Chang, welcome to the show tonight.
Hey guys, I'm curious. When we talk about the offense, maybe we can talk about the highs. Do you like the offense this year more or last year's offense?
I like last year personally.
How about you, Ryan?
Last year, 100%.
Because to me, it's interesting because when I look at the style they played this year, they played through so much of Fox, Monk, and Sabonis. And I agree with you, Ryan. I feel like last year we had more involvement with Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes. And I felt this year we are just using them more as catch and shoot. And I do feel like there are these rhythm players where they maybe need the ball or they maybe need shots up. And I guess maybe my biggest worry is that I felt that maybe Mike Brown did this overcorrection from how these players played in the playoffs, because our three-point shot was abandoned in the series against Golden State. And just checking how we've been playing more recently, we've been actually shooting less threes. And it's really just Fox and Monk driving in and, breaking down. And I'm not sure if, Mike Brown is trying to play the style that he feels would translate better into the, playoffs. But at this point, I'm worried that we may not even get to the playoffs trying to play the style. And I don't know, maybe as an audience, would we prefer to kind of see Kevin and Harrison get involved back in, or it's too late in the season? We're just gonna play the style that they're trying to play now, you know?
Too late. You only have 4 weeks left to go in the season. Your style is your style. Your team is your team. You can't change it in the middle of the season. Well, it's not even the middle of the season. It's towards the end of the season. No, I mean, it is what it is. You have 19 games left, I believe.
Because
Exactly.
Oh no, because I think for me, with the offense so predicated on Fox and Monk having a good game, I feel like it's so matchup depending with this team. Where if we go against a team that can just pretty much are athletic enough to handle Fox and Monk's penetration, we can't do anything because it relies where these games were against, for example, the Pelicans or the Houston Rockets. I'm expecting bigger games from Keegan Murray or Prince Kevin Huerter Harrison to really take advantage of Fox and Monk being neutralized, but I feel like we can't rely on them because the style of play doesn't really, I almost feel like highlight their strengths anymore.
Well, I think Chang. So let's just look at the first half tonight, right? The style of basketball that we've all said we liked better. We saw a lot of that in the first half. There wasn't a ton of threes by the Kings in the first half. And you had Herter getting involved. You had Barnes getting involved. You even saw tonight when the Kings tried to slow down, they were trying to get Harrison down low and do those things. Now this year, it's more one-on-one isolation driven. And Grant, I'll ask this to you. To me, De'Aaron Fox is an isolation point guard playing in a team conceptual movement offense.
All right, I'm going to ask you both this question. How many times this year in the first 60-plus games have we come on and talked about, wow, the Kings played a complete game tonight? 5 times this year? They are wildly inconsistent. They have the most lopsided quarters, which, by the way, is why their point differential is so bad for a team that is, quote unquote, in the standings this high up at 36 and 27. Again, their point differential is 0.3. Okay? 0.3. There's only one team worse than them in the top, not only 10, top 11. The Lakers. There's minus 0.5. Okay? Out of all the other teams, the Kings have the worst point differential. The only teams in the West that have worse point differentials than the Kings, the Rockets. Oh, no, the Rockets now are tied with the Kings. You can't even put them in there. The Jazz, the Grizzlies, the Blazers, and the Spurs. I keep looking at that. I keep saying, I don't think the Kings are making the playoffs this year. I don't think it's going to happen.
They're making the play-in. So you don't even think they're making the play-in?
They'll make the play-in, but that's not the playoffs. The playoffs that's not a playoff. Playoffs are 1 through 8. They're not, play-in is not 1 through 8. Play-in is 7, 8, 9, or 10. That's not the playoffs. The Kings aren't making the playoffs this year, in my opinion.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're clear. I know yours, but everybody might not understand your definition.
And I'm glad you clarified that.
I just have a final maybe question is, the offense you see this year, do you think it's something to build off next year, or do you just think it's just too inconsistent? Again, we refer back to Fox having great nights where this offense looks great when Fox has a good game, but when he's having an off night, it looks like this tonight.
Chang? I think.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. No. So,
Ryan, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's kind of broken right now, so it needs to be fixed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we can agree it's different than last year. That's kind of the consensus I'm getting from this conversation. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's the reason why, it's a little disappointing because I feel like we keep talking about how this team has a great offense. Ranking wise, we are mediocre. And I think we're really carrying on from last year's offense. And we keep assuming this team's going to, have that dynamic offense. But really this year we don't. It's nights where we look great. And some nights or some quarters, we look horrible. We can't even score. So,
Chang,
it's not working.
Chang, I know you listen to the Kings Court all the time because you bring it up on your calls. What's the offensive stat that I harp on nearly every single episode that has nothing to do with 3-pointers?
You always talk about the 2-pointers. You always talk about, the mid-range and everything. And that's why I've been positive because they've been deferring to that more. But I'm not sure if it's because our 3-point shooters aren't making any threes. because we actually lead, post All-Star break. We're number 1 in points in the paint. And so to me, it seems that, our offense can click when Fox and Monk can penetrate. But again, I think that this offensive balance where we need people to be able to shoot threes, because I think the 3-point shooting can help alleviate, people closing in on us, because I think you saw tonight, Fox going in, so many Rockets players just closing in on him, and he's going to pass it out, but we're not even making our open threes anymore. So
Yeah,
Appreciate the
I
call.
hear you. Yeah, appreciate
Thank
it.
Hey,
So
I think you bring up some good points. I think that I have a habit of comparing this team to last year as well. And I've been saying this all season, Ryan. I don't like looking at all the numbers. I like looking at point differential, and I like to have my eyes tell me what I'm seeing. And I'm not seeing, and we've been talking about this all year. I like last year's version of the Kings significantly better than this year's.
Me too, Grant. I'm 100% with you. And I think that's what's troublesome, because when you look at the numbers, sometimes your eyeball test last year gave you the opposite. You're like, Kings win a championship there? And then you look at the numbers and you're like, no, I don't think so. Well, this year it's the eyeball's not there. And then the numbers are like, oh man, that's why it doesn't make sense. So it's put together, but
I'm with you on that. It doesn't make sense because the personnel actually, to me, is better this year. So it doesn't make sense. I'll tell you what does make sense, and that's getting the Bennett's for a phenomenal meal, prime seafood and steak, 3 locations, Sacramento, Roseville, and this West Side Grill in Rockland. If you go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com, you can make a reservation and more. 60 different types of wine available by the glass. It's awesome. Love it. Every time I'm in Sacramento, you will find me at one of the Bennett's locations. Again, go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com and see for yourself. You will not be disappointed. Kings tonight, though, they were disappointing this afternoon, I should say, as they lose for the 3rd time this year to the Houston Rockets.
Those Rockets, they're a little bit better than we thought, huh? This one I put on the Kings because you had De'Aaron Fox, too.
Yeah.
You showed you could do it. Hey, we're going to bring in Condog 209. Welcome in tonight, my friend.
Oh, this one hurts a lot. And again, this is another thing where they come in after the halftime and just have a lazy third quarter. Just no effort, and it caught up with us, and they did their thing where they try to always make a fourth quarter comeback, and because we were so far behind from the third quarter, it just didn't work. And yeah, that's been a tale of this season as well, is just those half times where we're just coming sluggish out. Like, it's happened on more than one occasion.
It has. It's the MO of the team. It's the Jekyll and Hyde. Unfortunately, you can see the best and see the worst all in the same night.
Well, the good news is the Kings don't play the Rockets anymore this year. It's only 3 games this year. So I guess that's a positive.
Yeah. And then Grant, I only count 4 times where the Kings played a complete game this year. I have the November 13th game home versus Cleveland. I have the 2 away games versus the T-Wolves, and then this last away game versus the Lakers.
Fair enough. I can't go all through the schedule like you had the time right now in my head, but it sounds about right.
Yeah,
sounds about right.
The Cleveland game, I was there live, and then I know the 2 Minnesota ones on the road being 2 of their 7 losses, and they played very well in that last.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
what about the Clippers? Right, what about the Clippers game, you guys, and the Milwaukee game? Other than the 4 free throws that were missed.
I would include the Clippers game, but again, I always put an asterisk next. They didn't have one of their all-stars playing in Paul George. You can't just ignore that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Grant. That's a great point. Condog, thanks for the call tonight. We appreciate
it. All right.
It.
Good night, everyone.
All right,
Thank you, buddy. I mean, Ryan, they did play well. I'm not taking away they played against the Clippers. I thought they played 4 quarters of very good basketball, and I was very pleased with what I saw in that game. Do they win that game if Paul George is playing? Personally, I don't think they do, but
no.
I can only go by what I go by. But then, again, they go home the next night and they lose to Chicago. So
yeah, that's what makes it really hard to take them serious, right?
Yeah.
So it's a tough thing for them. And I mean, with 19 left, I still, it doesn't change. Do the lows, when they get lower, because they seem like they have been lately, do they change what you think the high point or the ceiling could be for this team in the playoffs.
Yes, but I made that determination a long time ago with this team. I didn't just make it after watching them play the Bulls and the Spurs and the Rockets.
Sure.
I've seen this alarming trend from the very start of the season. And I've covered the Kings for 32 years, and I've seen a lot. I don't recall, and I'd have to really spend a lot of time and with season schedules in front of me and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, I don't recall, with the exception of injuries, okay? In other words, like when you have a key player go down for a period of time, that's different. But the Kings have relatively been healthy this year. I don't recall ever seeing a Sacramento Kings team as Jekyll and Hyde as this team.
No, I'm with you off the top of my head. And I think we've seen spurts of other teams where they go through it for a 10-game sample size, 15, but never a full season. And just never getting corrected really either. I mean, but I guess you don't know how to correct what you don't know to correct. So what are you going to put your finger on?
Yeah, there's too many things. I wish it was just one thing. Hey, folks, I want to tell you about Calusa Sunrise, and this from Blazona Development. It is Sunrise Landing with 6 models to choose from. No Melrose, no homeowners, and you can get out there, make an appointment, check it out yourself, and see these beautiful homes in Calusa Sunrise Landing. Again, if you go to calusasunrise.com, you'll be able to get all the information you need and check out more about Sunrise Landing in Calusa. That's calusasunrise.com. Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development. Well, not much to talk about in terms of positives as the Kings.
No.
Could you imagine what we would be saying right now if this loss followed up the loss to the Spurs? The Kings were lucky to beat the Spurs. That's why I keep saying that. Can you imagine what we'd be talking about this afternoon? Wow.
You'd be talking about the team possibly only having one shot in the play-in, probably, Grant, you would think? Or
Yep.
no, you get 2 anyway, you
Well,
would
it
have them
depends.
in the 10 seed. No, you're right.
If you're 9 and 10, the loser's
10.
out. And then
Yes.
the winner has to play the loser of 7-8.
Yes, so that's what I was going at. You would only have one shot. And maybe that's all the Kings need, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
I'm
and now
struggling.
you have Milwaukee, you have the
Milwaukee.
Lakers, you have the Knicks. And the Knicks, by the way, may be 100% healthy by the time that game comes. And then you have Memphis. Anyone out there think that the Kings are going to beat Memphis? I'm not considering that an automatic win. I'll tell you that. I don't know about you, but I could see the Kings losing to Memphis. I mean, if you can lose to Detroit at home and Charlotte at home, or you can lose to Memphis at home. You know what I mean?
Isn't it so crazy? Because Kings fans would have died to have a schedule like this down the stretch, a team like this down the stretch. And it stinks because in the old days, and I'm not trying to be old guy River here, Arco Arena, G1C, that was the place to be. Like,
Well,
it's
here
so
it is right
weird.
here. What's the deal with playing at home?
Yeah.
Too comfortable? I don't think it's too comfortable. I wish I could answer that question. I wish I could have, as far as to say the coach doesn't have his team mentally prepared. You know what? These are professionals. This is their job. Okay. I don't know about you. Okay. But when I was working as your announcer and on the radio show every day and did a 4-hour show, I didn't need my boss to have me mentally prepared. That was my job. I was mentally prepared because I took my job seriously and it was important to me. That's a bunch of crap that the coach doesn't have the team mentally prepared. I can guarantee you from being behind the scenes, the coach has this team prepared 100% of the time. Okay. They have 35 freaking coaches on the team. That's a bunch of garbage. You make those comments when a team loses. It has nothing to do with being mentally prepared. If you love your job, if you take your job seriously, you don't need anyone to get you mentally prepared. But they are prepared because they have scouting reports. They do video sessions. They go over it time and time again. So that part of it is not on the coach. I'm sorry.
De'Aaron Fox talked to the media, and he was asked about playing down to their competition. Quote, I guess if you're in the playoffs, you're going to play a good team. So if you play up to your competition, it can be a gift and a curse.
What does that mean?
I don't know. You have to listen to hear the context of it. I mean, I guess it's looking at the glass half full is the way that I take it. I don't know if it's the exact approach that I want to see from De'Aaron, but everybody thinks I'm hard on De'Aaron. How do you take it?
I just want De'Aaron Fox one time to come out and say, you know what? As the leader of this team, this loss is on me. I got to play better, and it's not acceptable. And I apologize to the fans, and we're going to be ready to go in the next game, and it's going to be on me. Just one time, I'd like him to say that. Just one time. Just once. Just once. Not just give it to me one time.
Yeah, he followed up on another one. There were opportunities where I had open shots. They just didn't go in. Same kind of cliche thing. But I'm with you, Grant. It would be refreshing. I think you get a little bit more of that from Sabonis, and I'd be interested I would be interested to see what the fans think about this, because Sabonis was asked about the booing after the Spurs game, and Sabonis said he's going to let it go, right? And, we're fighting for the city. He took it in stride. But if it was De'Aaron that would have responded that way to the booing, I don't know how the reaction really would have been.
Well, Fox came out 5 years ago or 6 years ago on, what is it called? The Players Tribune?
Yes.
And put out a incredibly heartfelt, passionate plea to the fans of Sacramento based on what they had endured, and basically promised and pledged his love and commitment. And I'm paraphrasing here, but the one thing you'll never have to worry about with us is effort and how much we care. And you know what? There are times when I watch De'Aaron Fox, I'm sorry, where I actually ask myself, does he really care whether the team wins or loses? And I know he does, but I guess maybe I want too much from De'Aaron. Maybe I'm being unrealistic, and maybe I'm being too hard, but I need more from him, and I'm not getting it, both on the court and in the media sessions. Now, the media sessions I'm nitpicking because I understand that a lot of times the players don't want to do it, and they have to do it, and so they say what they think sounds good because they can't give you their true opinions. Then you get some athletes that tell you exactly how they feel and don't mind.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the inbounds pass, was it the Bulls game where he made the turnover, or was it the Miami game? I can't remember which game that was, but he basically threw his coach and teammates under the bus after the game. Like, I don't want that from my point guard.
Yeah, where he said that Sabonis was fouled out and Monk had to whatever. So, I'm with you, Grant. And with De'Aaron, I think the tough thing for me, and I through the layers of his play this season, is the fact that when he plays well, he goes off 40 points, 37 points. When he plays bad, he plays well under his season average. So, like the Kings, Jekyll and Hyde, it's very say of De'Aaron because, he had a sample size of, I believe, 20 games between January 1st and February 12th or 13th. Frankie Cardicelli put it out. Go check him out on X, where De'Aaron's season points during that stretch was only 21.7. 21 points.
Yeah.
4.3. It's just not going to be good enough as a max player.
Hey, Fosters and Paws, a group of passionate animal advocates, work hard to save lives. They understand that rescue is hard, that these animals are often abandoned by the humans they trusted, and they have to create a relationship, a bond with each of their animals. They primarily focus on vulnerable dogs in shelters. They pull a lot of pregnant moms, nursing moms, bottle puppies, dogs with medical needs, and dogs in danger of being euthanized. They also work with families and young children to teach them how you can have lifelong benefits of being around animals. They're looking for adopters, donors, and fosters. To learn more, just go to fostersandpaws.org. Again, they're looking for adopters, donors, and fosters. Go to fostersandpaws.org. And listen, I'm not blaming every loss on De'Aaron Fox. That's not what I'm doing.
No.
I want to make sure that I'm very clear here. I'm just saying that I want more from him. That's what I'm saying. I want more from him. I didn't like his act of blowing off the media for 3 weeks. It's highly unprofessional. I don't care what the reason is. It's wrong. I don't like the fact that the Kings allowed that to go on. All right. Look at that. Fox is making that much. And then,
I didn't mean to
clutch
go
player, we go on and on. So some of the comments were coming up. But again, I did not like that stretch. You pointed out the points. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that's also when he was blowing off the media every night.
Correct. Yes.
I need more from the guy, Ryan. I can't have that. I can't have that from my leader or my highest paid player. I can't have that.
Yeah, Grant, I think you bring up a very good point. And again, we're not trying to, like you said, Sabonis was just as responsible tonight, 9 turnovers.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we've got to have the conversation. I think every player has to be evaluated thoroughly at the end of this offseason. Hey, we're going back to the phones. We're bringing in Zach. Zach, welcome to the show tonight. You're on with Grant and Reno.
Yeah, I'll try to make this quick. Honestly, the big thing I see is just body language, especially from Fox. He just doesn't seem engaged as much as like last year. And then in the playoffs last year, it was unfortunate that he broke his finger, but up until that point, even after that, he was still playing pretty good. And I was like, yeah, I love having Fox as their point guard. I wouldn't want any other point guard on this team. But then like throughout this whole season, Fox has just been like a completely different person.
I agree. It's something that needs to be explored in the offseason and dealt with because he's the guy on this team. I mean, Sabonis to me is the best player, but to me, Fox is the most viable player. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, I really don't. It's just frustrating. Do I think that when the Kings get to a really big game, if it's the play-in, that Fox will play really, really well? Yeah, I do, because that's what he lives for. Just like we saw in the last road game against the Lakers. He loves playing against the Lakers. He loves being in LA. He loves that atmosphere, and he dominated the game. He's capable of doing that. I need to see it more. He didn't dominate the game today.
Do you think it's just like, it's almost like Fox's way of saying like, hey, I need some more help? Like it's just him saying that indirectly?
She shouldn't be saying that. He's got plenty of help around him.
Oh no, I agree. Like I think he does have plenty of help. I'm just saying like he's kind of getting greedy, saying like, oh, I need another star on this team. Like I don't know. That's just my perception.
Well, I don't think he feels that way. If he does feel that way, trade him for another star and bring in another star and go that way. I mean, if he does feel that way, and I don't think he does, I would trade him.
Yeah, it's just like throughout the season, like, there's been times like when I wish like, oh, I wish we actually had Tyrese. I wish we actually had Jalen Brunson. Hell, Tyrese Maxey, they all passionate. But Fox, I don't know if it's just Fox something going on in his personal life or what, but dude seems off.
I think he seems somewhat off too. I mean, and the thing is, he's not off all the time. It seems like he picks and chooses. And again, I'm not blaming all these losses on Fox. I want to be very clear about that. But he's the guy. He's your point guard. I mean, he's your quarterback. It would be the equivalent of your favorite NFL team, when they win and the quarterback plays so well. And then when, your quarterback really struggles, the team can't win. Well, it's the same thing with Fox,
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, Zach.
Again, you look at the schedule coming up, right? I mean, now, do I think the Kings are going to play better because the competition's going to be better? Yeah, I actually do.
Yeah.
But we'd be naive to think that the Kings are going to win 4 games in a row now based on the way they've been playing. Like, I don't think they're going to beat Milwaukee, personally. I don't care how they've matched up with them. I don't think they're going to beat them. The Lakers, I do think they'll beat. I think they'll lose to the Knicks, and I think they'll beat Memphis. I think they're going to go 2-2 in these next 4 games.
Interesting. I think they're going to go 1-3. I think the only game they win is Milwaukee.
Yeah, I don't think they'll beat Milwaukee. Milwaukee's had some really bad losses on this road trip, and they made a statement today, and they're now tied with Cleveland for the number 2 spot in the East, and they're not going to be messing around. So I don't think they'll beat Milwaukee. I'd be surprised. I know you made a good point, but the last time, and I have to look at the injury report, but the last time they played, they didn't have Chris Middleton either. But I do
That's
believe
true. Good point.
I do believe the Bucks are going to come in here and win.
Fair. And I would not be surprised if that happened. It just like
Yeah.
in your gut, we were talking about the eye test. It just feels like to me one of those things with the Kings with their backs against the wall that they're going to go out and get. Let me ask you this really quick, because Zach was asking about Fox being off or making the point he's off. You remember the whole Tyrese situation?
Yep.
I'm wondering, you remember Fox went through his ankle thing and there was some weird time there. And by no means do I have any facts or reports to connect the two, but there sure as hell is a lot of talk about Keegan Murray being the man in Sacramento. Do you think any of that could be possibly playing into this with De'Aaron?
Well, if that is the case, then you need to trade De'Aaron, because if he's that weak fragilely, if he's that weak mentally, then he can't be the guy that takes you to where you want to go. I don't think that's the case. So no, I don't think that. I don't think that to be true. If it were true, then you need to make a move.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah,
let's
I don't.
be sure
Again,
about that. Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk to you. Go ahead.
How about a move at the two? Why don't you do get to our
I
sponsors.
wanted to talk to you about Gold Country Veterinary and Hospital. And we talked on the last show about all the great things that they do. But today, we're just going to tell you they're located in Auburn. They serve the foothills, Roseville, and the greater Sacramento area. They're a full-service veterinarian medical. They do dentistry, surgery, and wellness care. They're dedicated to urgent care. So when your pet needs to be seen, they are available. They have advanced internal medicine, full surgical care, from spay-neuter packages to advanced orthopedic procedures. They have the most modern technology, and they are very proud of their pain management protocols for maximizing faster recovery for their surgical and dental patients. Just go to Gold Country Veterinary and Hospital. Trust me, your pet will be in very, very good hands. Go ahead, finish up with that thought, my friend.
Yeah, no, you will be in great hands. An eye globe. Still learning about that from Dr. Griffith. Anyways, so I guess the two guard position, the Kings don't get much. Kevin Herter. I know that Kevin was trying to get involved as much as he could, but are we at a point in the season where you think, or is it time still to reevaluate that?
Now, you're breaking up a little bit, but I got your point. Teams normally don't make changes with 19 games left. You'll make your change by limiting a player's minutes as opposed to the rotation. So, but I would also say this: the Kings have now had some really bad losses in the last week, and you think they're going to go 1-3 in these next four. If they do go 1-3 in the next four, they are probably going to be ninth in the West, or they'll be at least eighth, and you're going to have a panicked owner, and you're going to have a lot of pressure put on the coach. So never say never.
But you might have a relaxed fan base at that point. If you're a 9-10 seed playing on the road, possibly, back against the wall, that's when this team performs.
Yeah. You can have a pissed off fan base. I don't think they're going to be relaxed. Because remember what the expectations were coming into this year, Ryan. And I think we were misled a little bit by the Kings being third in the West, because they really weren't the third best team in the West last year. They took advantage of injuries on just about every team in the league while they were relatively healthy. But they were a good team last year. And record-wise, they're a good team this year. But I think they have more flaws this year than they had last year. And that's the point I keep on trying to make on these shows. They have more flaws this year. And it's puzzling to me, because I thought the roster was better this year, and I thought that they would be better, but they're not.
They are not. You could even make the argument there could have been some regression this year in some areas, which is a bad thing. They're still young. It's better for it to happen now, Grant. What if they would have made a big move at the trade deadline? Yeah,
I'm with you. All right, so we'll be with you again for the Milwaukee game, and we'll see what happens. Ryan, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, my friend.
I will. Thank you so much, Napes.
And to everyone else, thank you for joining us here. Beam's not lit tonight. We'll see what happens coming up. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, what you have left of it. Thank you. Bye-bye.